All right, everyone, welcome. It's Satoshi Chak here with you guys. As we get started, let's see here. Just make sure everything's up and going for today. Let's see here. Okay. All right, everybody that's in the Discord, if you guys want to hop on, if you guys want to go to the trades chat, we're going to be there. So if you want to get on there, that's great. And ask any questions you guys have for today. Yesterday was a very special day for me, a celebration actually for me and crypto and my crypto journey. So it was a big day for me yesterday. We had a blast out here. So good morning, good evening, depending on where you're at. Shout out from Brazil. And we're out here in Rio right now. So yesterday I was actually talking to a few of my friends that are in crypto, and a few of them are also, in traditional finance. And we sat down, and it was a celebration, more of a celebration of not giving up. And that's what we talked about it, and it really got in depth. And we all sat there and we said, through the ups and downs, through the mistakes, we're still here. And we learned, we lost, and at the end, we all said just by not giving up, we were able to, succeed in life. And so yesterday was a celebration of when me and my friends came together and we entered crypto. Some many years back. I actually, my story is a little bit different. I was given my first Bitcoin actually before I went into crypto, but just that thought came back to me, and I went full force into crypto with some friends. And so we had our celebration last night here, and we had a few of my friends fly out. So today I want to talk about a few things. So during our Discord group, we talked about what would be some great things to implement, some things that, what am I doing? What can we do to succeed, extract, the maximum value out of our trades? And you guys will notice, and this is for my Discord, not my Discord, but the group's Discord. You guys will notice that I don't post 1,000 trades all the time, especially in high volatile situations. Now, nobody, can win every trade, but our group's done amazing. We have amazing traders on this group. And in fact, this group is absolutely slaying leverage trading. So if you haven't, joined our group, you definitely want to do that, man. There's, absolutely slaying. We have great TA. We have specialists in all areas of crypto. We have people that are really specialized in charting. Then we have people that are really specialized in, confirming macro trends, various, keeping up with bond auctions, keeping up with the Treasury General account. You name it, we do it. And today is about you guys. And I'm here because I want to tell you guys what I'm doing. And I think that's the most important thing, is sometimes we see a chart and we look at this chart, and we're going to go into Bitcoin, where we're at, where do I see that we're at in this cycle, what's going on, right? But we kind of can get lost in so much technical analysis, right? It's like one day we're, hey, we're due for a pullback, the next day, that is cryptocurrency, right? And I also want to discuss some price targets for some upcoming altcoins where I see some altcoins going. And I know during times where euphoria can run high, you start getting greedier and greedier, right? That is a natural psychological instinct. And it is also a reason why we talk about in our group, and we talk about, during those senses of euphoria are the best times to sell. But what I will argue is altcoins have not came back to their range lows yet. So what I will argue is Bitcoin dominance will possibly continue to rise. I believe it will. Okay, and we're going to see Bitcoin dominance rise. And in that process, when Bitcoin dominance rises, I predict, and this is just a analysis, not just a bold prediction like I'm where I have my analysis is that Bitcoin dominance will rise. Altcoins will finally reach their range lows. Historically, during that time is the best time to buy your altcoins, is at their range lows, generally following all Bitcoin pairs. So like all altcoins in comparison to Bitcoin. Okay. When they reach the range lows, it has historically been the best time to buy. And that is generally preceded by an altcoin season, what many of us are here for, right? And the reason why I say this is Bitcoin is my number one go-to when I invest. And I'm going to talk about what do you mean by that, and also portfolio allocation. So what I learned, and I hope that with this video, some of you guys will in turn become better traders. And in turn, this journey, if you don't quit, hopefully will lead you to where you want to go. And I'm going to be breaking down everything, my thoughts, every single thing that's helped me be successful today, and everything that in regards to altcoins that I am preparing myself to do for this cycle. And what are some calculated risks that I have noticed and I have analyzed. I've told the group that I actually pay for an AI platform that analyzes various trends in the market. Now, we're going to go ahead and start today with this topic. So what I wanted to get into is what recently I've noticed, and I think this group and overall the crypto market has noticed, is meme coins have stole the show. And I know there's people here like, Satoshi Tech, you are absolutely right. And it pisses me off. There's a lot of us, right, that are saying that because there were days that utility was the go-to, the best tech, right? But now we are seeing meme coins outpace, steal the show, be on some of the top volumes. For instance, Muding, right? We are seeing increased volume in meme coins and the culture. Now, also, since 2019, I have right here, 2019, okay, we have seen more inflows to the crypto, the whole crypto universe. So all cryptocurrencies, we have seen an overall inflow larger than gold inflows. So prior, we would usually see more people investing in gold, investing in those precious metals, investing in alternative equities. We are now we're in a new era, in not just American history and European history, but world history. Okay, we are seeing the fiat money system, which for years has been broken. I mean, when Nixon took the United States off the gold standard, in which I would argue needed to be done, especially to have the United States as the world's reserve currency, to back every dollar by gold in every country, in the world, arguably not every single one would be transacting in US dollars, would be a hard feat to entail, but it also caused years and years of inflation, of the devaluing of the fiat system and of the dollar. And right now, right, people, and for instance, I'll give an example. When I started out in crypto, let's see here. When I started out, if you'd put money into a bank account, okay, in the United States, and I'll just speak for the USA, if you had put money into a bank account and it was a good bank account, maybe they would say, hey, we'll give you 5 to 8%. And 8% would usually be on the high range of, or we'll give you 8% interest on your savings annualized per year. Okay. And just to make this easy, right? Make this very easy for everybody. And I'm on here checking if anybody's got questions. To make this easy in the United States, okay, when we, like 15 years ago, you could go and you could rent an apartment, okay, for $500, okay? And wages were around, say, for if you didn't have an education and you were a manual laborer, 15 years ago, you could get a job working about 13 US dollars per hour, okay? This is what I want to explain to you. Now, if you wanted to be someone that doesn't invest in crypto, that doesn't go through the mental heartache that everyone in crypto has to go through to win, and you said, okay, I'm going to put my money in the bank, right? I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to save money. I'm going to put this money in the bank. All right. Well, you were making $13 an hour at a factory, and I have this, I'm not going to name the factory, but I know a factory in California that I researched, and they paid their employees on average $13.30 an hour, 13.30 US dollars per hour, and this is back in 2011. Now, fast forward from 2011 to 2025, okay? All right, so right here, we are over a decade later, okay? And this factory is now offering their workers the minimum wage demanded in California. Now, the minimum wage that was mandated, and there's also some debates in Congress and various parts of the California, in various parts of California, in various counties, and there was a standard $15 an hour for minimum wage mandate. So this factory, fast forward from 2011 to 2015, is only paying $1.70 more. Okay. Now during 2011, you could get an apartment for $600. Not a nice one, but I just researched this for purposes. That same apartment now is $2,700. It didn't. And now this is the East Coast. That same apartment is $2,700. It doesn't have a spa. It doesn't have a sauna. It doesn't have a playground. Okay, so you only were making $1.70 more. Okay, and that is the story here. Is housing prices have tripled, if not quadrupled. The housing rate in the United States on average was 4.10. So let's just call it 4% since 2011, 4% year on year, compounded. That overall, so some areas saw increased housing costs, but on average, the whole United States, year on year compounded, the housing market since 2011 has gone up year on year 4%, 4%, 4%, 4%, 4%, but wages have gone nowhere. And I can assure this, what they were paying psychologists in 2011 is what they're paying now, and in some cases they're paying less now. So why I bring that up is when I first was going to school, I went to college, I thought I was going to be a medical doctor. That's what I wanted to do. I ended up getting multiple degrees and, kind of, going into various different arenas. But at the end of the day, I found myself in finance because that's what I love to do. But in the beginning, when I started, I was wanted to complete medical school. So I started out first at a community college for about a year before I actually went to a four-year college. So I went to San Diego State, as well as I went to Salisbury University and Liberty University. And out of those schools, I was, searching what would be the best job for the future, right? What would be the smartest thing to do to pay back my school loans, to, get ahead in life. And, at the time it was healthcare. Many people talked about healthcare. And healthcare, was a good field. And I actually went into psychology. I believe for myself, understanding psychology ended up helping me later when I would pursue my degrees in finance, and then later I would also get a degree in sociology, psychology. I would get two finance degrees and one in business management. And so the psychology, where I got a bachelor's of science in psychology, I got to study what barring the general stuff when we talk about like Sigmund Freud, and we talk about various thoughts of the human psyche. Okay, it helped me understand human behavior. Okay, and how humans interact with the world around them. And with me learning the psychology of humans, it didn't make me perfect. I worked with people and I helped people, for my clinical hours. I was in there, I counseled people, and it was a really great learning curve. But I'm going to bring that in to say right here, I got this. What does this have to do with crypto? Okay, so over the years, what it's helped me do is catch trends, understand market behavior, and with that, you find repeating patterns. Okay, so recently, I mentioned since 2019, we are seeing more inflows into cryptocurrency than we are to gold. So we can state that since 2019, human psychology has changed. Okay, so what has changed about human psychology? Okay, so if we put some variables, we have age. So age is going to go in there because the age of the generations consistently, like everybody's life cycle, comes and goes. So what I can state here is age is a variable. So when we look at some of the famous traders like Warren Buffett, his age anti-crypto, right, for the most part. Or you could argue some people would not understand. For the majority of people, definitely not interested in crypto. Okay, but we talk about, you've heard this, the biggest wealth transfer of our time is happening, right? You've heard this. Everybody is saying that there's the great wealth transfer. What does that mean, and how can we put this in here? Okay, so with the biggest wealth transfer, why is that? Okay, so we're looking at human psychology. So we got age. Okay, we also can say, well, some thoughts have to be changing. Okay, so position to cryptocurrency. So over the years, there's been changing policy towards cryptocurrency, and now we are seeing favorable policy towards cryptocurrency. So we are seeing it being more accepted on the global stage, okay, and not mentioned for, illicit crime. They argued Bitcoin was, only used for illegal criminals. Well, the U.S. dollar, if you ask probably Pablo Escobar or someone else, the U.S. dollar was used just as more than Bitcoin ever was used for illicit activities. Okay. And so, you could argue that the US dollar itself, was used more than Bitcoin ever was for illicit activities. But so now we're off that train. Okay. So now we're off saying, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is only for, illicit activities. We're saying, okay, it does and can have a real place in the world going forward. Now, I am going to methodically go through this list. And before we end today, okay, please stay with me here because I'm going to be telling you guys what I'm doing, okay, in this market today. And I'm going to tell you guys how I'm preparing, okay? Okay, so we now have pro-crypto legislation. We now have stable coins. Let's just put a question mark here. We got stable coins. I always like to get people thinking. If you come into the Discord, have a paper, think, critically think. I have found this to be more than helpful. Try to ask yourself questions. Try to see if there's a question that you can ask yourself. Are you working hard enough, right? I always ask myself that. I'm saying, am I working hard enough for the group? Am I doing enough for the group? Am I doing enough for myself? I always challenge myself. Okay, so we now have legislation that is crypto friendly, right? We still have traditional banks that are kind of on the borderline. We are seeing cryptocurrencies gain more and more attention since 2019. Okay, so now what we have is the floodgates, okay? The fiat money system is failing. You guys want to know, right, why is there a rush towards Bitcoin, gold, and also do I see gold going away? No. And in fact, gold is a good store of value, okay? But it is not a great medium of exchange. And you could argue Bitcoin has similar properties, except it is a little bit better. It is better as a medium of exchange. It can be slow, and so for day-to-day transactions, right? The last I checked, the Lightning Network, before it had, if it's had any upgrades since the last I checked, the Lightning Network could handle roughly around 600,000 or so transactions per day. And so what that means is people cannot transact 100% on Bitcoin alone, right? Going here, I have written code is law, okay? So Bitcoin, and what makes Bitcoin so important is Bitcoin has been forked, okay? But overall, you will see the Bitcoin community, and we argue, to not change as much as possible in the Bitcoin network. It has been forked. We have Bitcoin Cash, okay, right? We have, so Bitcoin has been forked, but to overhaul Bitcoin to make it, for instance, a proof of work that's scalable like Caspa, okay, that would be very hard, okay, and arguably not doable on the Bitcoin network. And so we have Bitcoin coming in as an ultimate store of value, okay? So what I have learned, and this is what I want to say, lesson one, what I have learned in cryptocurrency, this will save many of you. In our group, we don't look to, some traders and some groups are going to get you to say, hey, we want you to invest in this altcoin and, go full force. Our group does not do that. In fact, our group is always looking to help each other. What is the next best trade? What is the next best leverage trade? What is the next best calculated risk? Now, not all the times can a risk be foreseen. For instance, we had Cetus, right? I know our group and many thousands and thousands of people, including major cryptocurrency YouTubers, cryptocurrency groups, where we're betting big on what is the blockchain name, guys? SUI. Okay, we were arguing, which I believe is factual to the best of my knowledge, that it was super undervalued. Yeah, I think so. And SUI, super fast, okay, actually in real time, and this can be argued, but faster than Sol, faster than Solana, okay, growing ecosystem, okay, Meta involved, right? Some big names, right? Very good vesting schedule, very fast finality time, very, very useful for stable coins. You name it, it was an overall great cryptocurrency. I bought in SUI 70 cents, I think, or yeah, around 70 cents. I bought into SUI. Okay, so I bought into SUI and I sold SUI around its high. Okay, prior to our group merger, which has been just fantastic. It's amazing. And so I bought into SUI and I sold during the euphoria. It landed me a very good solid 4x, okay, on SUI. And SUI has a core group of meme coins that, including Lofi, right? Everybody can say Lofi is definitely the mascot of the SUI blockchain. Very good branding, okay? And I want to mention this is similar to Caspa. When I talk about psychology, this is what I'm looking for, guys. This is why I'm telling you, stay here and listen and talk to me. When SUI, their branding of their meme coin, Lofi, I mean, absolutely amazing branding, okay? I mean, look at this here. I mean, amazing branding overall for Lofi. I mean, it's got the ice, like they came out with the whole ice theme, and made it popular. Very good branding. It's very good on the eyes, right? And their ecosystem was hitting on a very hot topic, Pokemon. Yes, a lot of people that are in crypto, that have been in crypto for many years, were very into Pokemon. They came out with this branding, the blue, the ice, like the Yeti. They came out and they had a few meme coins. And there was a solid bet, like Squirtle, okay? Solid branding. I mean, when you look at these meme coins aesthetically to the eyes, that is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for branding. How does that cryptocurrency branding look? When I look at Caspa, the psychology in the when you look at the color of Caspa and the branding of Caspa, it pops out, but it also backs up what it talks about. So we have good branding, right? With SUI, great ecosystem, arguably, and it suffered a major attack, right? It suffered a major attack. And status was compromised, liquidity was drained. There was an argument that, is it right for Cetus to be able to freeze the funds? Because people argue, if you can freeze funds and it's truly not decentralized, because somebody, or certainly not censorship proof, because somebody at any point can freeze your money. And that was argued, and it can be back and forth. But SUI is a great cryptocurrency. It was a hard hit, guys. Hard hit with SUI. All of us, especially for the SUI ecosystem, it broke a lot of people's hearts that Cetus got hacked, right? And so nobody in crypto could have predicted that, right? And so there are times in crypto where you make calculated risk and they don't go well. but you try to mitigate that risk. So number one today is we are going to talk about mitigating risks. Okay, so let's get this out. So number one, how do we mitigate risks? Okay. Okay. All right. So one of the things that I've learned over the years in trading, okay, is that Bitcoin reigns king always. I we all live and learn, and you can talk to as many experts as you can, and I don't think they can argue this, and they probably would more than likely agree, is that all Bitcoin traders, okay, ultimately in the end tell you that just investing in Bitcoin alone has been more successful than investing in altcoins alone. Okay, now we're going to get to what do I mean by that. Is if you just had invested in Bitcoin going 10 years back, okay, and you invested in XRP. XRP at its range low was close to 3.003 cents. I believe it was 0.0027 or at its cycle low. So if you had invested $1,000 or $2,000, $5,000 in Bitcoin and $5,000 in XRP at their ranging back let's say 10 years ago or so, you would still have made more money from just investing $1,000 or $2,000, however you say, in Bitcoin. Okay, so, but there's a caveat, okay? So, Bitcoin, right now, we're all sitting here, right? And not everybody is going to be able to afford a whole Bitcoin, or, that's not necessarily, their goal is to make as much money as possible. And I would arguably say that they want to, number one, better their lives, better their families' lives, reinvest, and be successful, right? And we also got to stay healthy. So one of the things that I argue is Bitcoin, it always, always, always has shown over the course of its history that investing in Bitcoin alone has been a successful trade, 10 times out of 10. But the caveat here is investing in alternative cryptocurrencies is very, very lucrative, right? And we as a group have to look for opportunities in the vast ocean of cryptocurrencies to see various cryptocurrencies, marketing, branding, do they back up what they talk, right? And so that's what I'm going to be doing today with you guys, is we are going to be looking, and I'm going to tell you what I'm doing right now currently, okay? And we're going to be looking at some cryptocurrencies that I truly believe are going to do good. I have revised a few analysis of a few different cryptocurrencies and revised some price targets. So number one, for altcoins, let's go in here and let's talk about Caspa. I have a good bet for Caspa for this cycle, okay? Now, if you ask me, Satoshi Tech, what is your targets for Caspa? There's going to be some psychological numbers that come into play here on Caspa. Okay, I am going to say 20 cents prior resistance for Caspa. Okay, so 20 cents is going to be our resistance, and I am targeting after 20 cents. Okay, we can get a sustained, if we can flip that into support, okay, for Caspa, we absolutely can get a solid return once we break the psychological 20 cents level. Now, I am not going to give a moon boy prediction here on Caspa, okay, because you need to be, try to be realistic. And, I say that with Caspa, I believe for myself in the altcoin market that it will possibly give me a solid 5 to 10x. Okay. Now, no price, targets are guaranteed in cryptocurrency, but in our group, we post what we're doing, our thoughts, and what we're doing in the market. Okay, so I am at this time with Caspa. I am not minding to DCA into Caspa, and I want to talk, and we're going to go through various cryptocurrencies today. Okay, and this was going to be important. Okay, with Caspa. Okay. With Caspa, I feel it is a safe bet. Why, Satoshi Check? Well, nothing is promised, but the rotation. So if you have not been in cryptocurrency, there is a rotation. And generally, when capital rotates, so capital rotates from Bitcoin, it traditionally goes into large caps. What are large caps? These are going to be generalized by your top 100 and top 50 cryptocurrencies. These are your large caps. These are usually valued at $1 billion US dollars or more. And large caps and like mid caps. What are mid caps? That's going to be maybe your 130, your 150, your 120, your 170 on top ranked cryptocurrencies by market cap. Okay, and so what we usually see is a rotation, right? Because the psychology of a trader, right? And so they want to do this. Large money wants to always do the safest thing. When I look at Caspa, I feel safe to a degree. Nothing is safe in cryptocurrency. Nothing. It could go to zero. Everything, our economy, the world economy could collapse. Nothing is guaranteed. But I do believe with Caspa, we've seen sustained price levels, right? Right. We've seen sustained interest. Okay. So we have a community, right, that's very bullish on Caspa. And for many reasons, right? And we'll get to that in a second. It has stayed in the top 100 consistently and in the top 50 consistently, okay, even as Bitcoin dominance rose, okay? And so what I'm looking is when capital rotates, and there is an argument that some people are making, and my friends brought up last night, is are we going to see capital like, well, what used to happen is we would sell Bitcoin, okay, and we would rotate that into altcoins, okay? But I had my friend Greg say, hey, is that going to be the case this cycle? With so much institutional adoption and so many people like Strategy, Michael Saylor, saying never sell your Bitcoin, right? Okay, so is that going to happen? Or is there going to be another catalyst that specifically pumps the altcoin market? Or is it going to be traditional? Are we going to stick to our same psychology? Have everybody think that Bitcoin, never sell your Bitcoin, right? And it'll never go down again, right? You've heard that story, right? And it never happens, right? Do we trust? No, you can't trust anything. You have to critically think. Do we believe that Bitcoin will never go back below 100,000 again? According to Alex Becker, he thought it would never go back down under 100,000 again. And shout out to Alex Becker. He does his thing, and really, I saw that picture of you and your family, man. Glad, you know, that we've been in this journey and been doing this for a while, and shout out to you and your family. But it's hard to say. And even, you know, analysts, you know, believe that, you know, hey, you know, Bitcoin will never, you know, be sold off this cycle like it has in the past and rotated into alts. And instead, Bitcoin will be more in the hold on for dear life, or basically in that hodl situation where people are going to hold their Bitcoin for longer periods. And so we need to be realistic. Okay. So that is in the psychology. If you've heard it, I've heard it. If you've thought it, I've thought it. So we can say some people are probably going to hold on to their Bitcoin longer this cycle. In why? Fear. Fear that if I sell 10 of my Bitcoin, I will never be able to buy them back at a lower price. Okay? Fear of missing out, or fear of losing your Bitcoin. I think we can coin a new fear of losing Bitcoin. So FOLB, okay? Our group just coined that, okay? Fear of losing Bitcoin. Yeah, that's our new shout out. That's our new, we coined that. So fear of losing Bitcoin. So we can say that's going to play a factor. I think traditional psyche of a trader is going to say, well, some people think that Bitcoin will never go down again, and that's exactly why we have to take profit. Take profit, okay? We have to take profit because if we don't, money's left out there because other people are going to take profit. So I believe there will be a capital rotation like in every other cycle. I believe that this cycle can be different. So what am I doing? I am tracking for the group the Treasury General account. I am tracking the bond market. I am keeping up to date with all current macroeconomic conditions. Now, I do that for you guys, and if you're new, check out our posts on Discord. And it is the best group you will ever invest your money into. And obviously, there's no guarantees in crypto, but our group can speak to this. Is most people in our group generally make more money for their monthly payment than their monthly payment. So they're making more money with various trades for that month than the cost of their Discord membership. Now that's not guaranteed, but we see it happen like on a daily basis, and we see traders that are absolutely slaying it on a daily basis. We have a CoinW Pro trading team, you know, and we have a lot of experts in this field. And we have a lot of various different personalities in this field, which make us a cohesive group that works very, very good together, right? We have people that are very great with TA, very great at various sectors. We have people that are great trend spotters, okay? Someone that can spot a trend, catch it, and that be 100x, right? Or that be a 50x. Now, sometimes you got to wait, right? Sometimes it might not happen overnight. There could be a trade our group calls, and we say, hey, it's at 2 cents. It's worth a risk, okay? Okay, and that ends up going to, say, 60 cents. Bam. Just slayed like a 30x on that, right? Or so on and so forth, right? Or you know, even when so literally, right? And I'm just throwing some numbers out here. You can absolutely slam some trades, okay, with this group. And also in cryptocurrency, nothing is guaranteed, but our group does try to do the best to spot opportunities early, get into those opportunities, and you know, make informed decisions. Okay, now I want to get into a few things here. So with the capital rotation, what am I doing? Okay, so I believe that capital will be rotated, number one. I believe once capital is rotated, I believe it'll go to large caps. So i.e. Ethereum, okay, Solana, all right, SUI, okay, Hyper, all right, and some all top 50. I'm going to say, for the sake of this, top 50. I'm expecting a rotation to the top 50, okay? And I believe that is going to be the first step. Now, we have always seen new things. For one, meme coins stealing the show, right? We have seen meme coins absolutely steal the show here, okay? And so one thing I do is I use psychology. I have input data, and I'm tracking, trying to spot the next meme coin trade for the group. And no, this group also focuses heavily on utility, leverage trades, scalp trading, and spot. So we're not just looking only for meme coins. But we do put everything on the table here. So for this cycle, I am allocating as so. So let's talk about my allocations. Okay. So borrowing my Bitcoin allocations, okay, let's do altcoins. So for me, I have a 75% Bitcoin ratio, BTC ratio. So around 75% of my portfolio is in Bitcoin. 25% of my portfolio is in alts. Everything other than Bitcoin. Okay, now for this cycle, I want to talk about some cryptocurrencies that I discussed. And number one is already up on the chart, so let's talk about it. We're also going to be talking about hang in while just a little bit longer. I'm going to be looking at some things on here. And if you want to watch this later, tune back in. Okay, so number one is Caspa. Why do I like Caspa? Okay, number one, large community. Number two, it has great tech and it works. Number three, potential catalysts. What are those? More tier one listings. Okay, so we have Kraken, love Kraken, but we need, so possible more tier one listings. But I will tell you guys, tier one listings are not something that is actually needed. Now, it's obviously exposure is amazing, and we want that exposure. We want people to be able to go on Coinbase and buy Caspa. We want people to go on Binance and buy Caspa, but that does not dictate if it will do well. So, like, if Binance is not listed, that does not mean Caspa will not do well. Okay, so for instance, Phantom. Okay, Phantom. Coinbase still does not list. They made it tradable in their wallet, but you can't just go to Coinbase and buy Phantom. Okay, for instance, right? And Phantom did phenomenal. I was an investor in Phantom. And so Caspa has good branding. It is a proof of work. I love this. And I am a Bitcoin maxi to the heart. And I don't understand. Sometimes I believe that the people online talking don't own Bitcoin. And the reason why I say this is it's not a jab at anybody if you don't own a full Bitcoin, because everybody starts their journey somewhere. You don't need to start with a full Bitcoin. You come in this group, you work hard. Don't quit. Just don't quit. That is my advice. Don't quit. You will be successful. I can't guarantee anybody's success, but I have seen over and over, if you just don't quit, you end up being successful. So I love Caspa because it is a proof of work cryptocurrency. So why do I like proof of work? Well, it's a store of value. Look at Litecoin, okay? This is not a jab at Litecoin because I was an investor of Litecoin. I still have some. I don't talk about that as my allocation. I kind of just have it in cold storage. But Litecoin, okay, in all reality, is nothing but a store of value. It's not the fastest. It's not the slowest. It doesn't really have the real world application use that Caspa could have. And I was an investor in Litecoin because it's a proof of work. It was able to sustain and stay here. It did not go anywhere. So when I talk about proof of work, the reason I like it is it's not guaranteed. Just because it's proof of work does not guarantee it will be here forever. But proof of work has a higher success rate comparatively to a lot of proof of stakes or hybrid networks. Okay, one thing that I like about Caspa is they have high throughput. Okay, they are a very fast proof of work. And in fact, peer-to-peer, they are incredibly fast, which if they can manage to have more catalysts, so we already have tier 1 listings as a catalyst, but that does not need to happen just for the performance of the coin to do well. More catalysts to come are smart contracts. Okay, can we get Tether? Can we get USDT? Can we get Circle? Maybe not Circle, okay? Reason being is there could be some political lines that I've researched that possibly Circle, it would make sense for Circle to use Caspa. Caspa is a very high throughput block DAG and can handle the transaction volume, so it would make sense for Circle. But am I betting my life that Circle is going to be on Caspa rails this cycle? I am not sure about that. But stablecoin, so possibly Tether, okay, and possibly Circle. Okay, smart contracts. How are they going to work? So we got Ingra Labs, IGRA. Some people may pronounce that different, but we have Ingra. And they have a phenomenal team, okay? They have a phenomenal team, great devs, okay? And they are having a lot of active interest in Caspa and building on Caspa. So we have catalysts of smart contracts. Okay, Satoshi Check, what does this remind you of? You guys know it. ADA. I invested in Cardano. Okay, Cardano and Charles Hodgkinson, okay? And shout out to Charles, man. You're a goofball, man. Over the years watching, he's been great. Charles Hodgkinson and ADA, okay, from the Ethereum Foundation back in the day, Charles Hodgkinson, with ADA. ADA, in all reality, is not competitive. I'm sorry. It's not competitive. Compared to Sui, it's not competitive. Compared to Solana, to me, it's not competitive. So they have all these fancy words. We're going into the decentralized era. It's decentralized. Well, if it's decentralized, that's great. Okay, I love decentralization. But how does that help smart contracts? How does that help stablecoins? Where are your stablecoins? Where are they? Okay, not competitive to me. Okay, so ADA has stuck around, and it's been a proof of stake blockchain. And ADA stuck around. It was a good investment that I made with ADA. But back on track is Caspa reminds me of ADA. When ADA did not have any smart contracts yet, and Caspa seems much more promising to me than when I invested in ADA, but it gave me the same vibes. ADA it was a large community of Cardano, a large portion of everybody was like Cardano's, the next, smart contract platform. It's going to be the next everything. And so Caspa gives me those vibes of the ADA community, but on steroids, okay? And for good reason. First, it's proof of work, and it's a block DAG. Now, people will say, well, there's another cryptocurrency. They'll say IOTA, okay? Nothing wrong with IOTA, but the thing is that DAGs, directed acyclic graphs, have been in math for over like 100 years. I mean, I'd have to look it up, but we're talking a very long time. DAG, directed acyclic graphs, have been in mathematics. Okay, so nobody created in cryptocurrency a DAG. DAG has always been a mathematical concept. Okay, that's been out. They did not create that. So the implementation of the DAG is what is phenomenal. Okay, because nobody thought that you could take a DAG and build it on a proof of work engine. That's what draws me to Caspa, okay? And so we've talked about the catalyst for Caspa. And in our group, if you want to be a part of our group, I'm going to be saying I'm taking this much profits here. I'm going to be looking, to take profits here. And throughout this cycle, we are going to be breaking down our moves. We are going to be breaking down various cryptocurrencies that we're investing in. So we've talked about Caspa today. Caspa is one of my altcoin bets. Now, during each cryptocurrency that I talk about, I am going to be talking about a few important factors before we leave that cryptocurrency. So with Caspa, I am setting by, if you have, okay, let's put here, extra capital, okay, for spot. I would take, so it depends on your allocation. If you have some that you can wait, right? Patience is a virtue. If you can put buy limits in on Caspa at 0.07 through 0.09 and let that be there, that's great. Also, if Caspa continues to hold, let's see, let me back this back out. Okay, so we're on the 1 week. All right. Where do we have the most confluence here? I don't have my chart out, so I do have a chart here, but I looked at Caspa. So this is a very key region, guys, and you guys can see why. Okay, look at this 10 cents region right here. Look at all the contact points on the weekly. Okay, so major area here. Okay, for Caspa. Now it is not guaranteed. So it is not guaranteed that we will come back here before here. So we could do something like 1, 2, let's see. Okay, so we could do something like here, okay? A wrap, come down, maybe touch right here, around that 8 cents level. As you can see, that's another key level, just below 8 cents. Okay, we could come back, maybe not actually retrace back to the 6 cents area, but as you can see, we do have some right here. 1, 2, 3 on the weekly. We could come back all the way to that, but to me it's unlikely. But we could come back, I'd say possibly to the 8 cents area. Okay, that 8 cents area right here. Okay, we are on the weekly chart, and do something like boom, maybe kind of a little bit of sideways, and then extension up here. We know we have major resistance here, but once we can break resistance on Caspa, I do see that there's going to be some legs on Caspa. Okay, so we've talked about Caspa. Okay, now I do want to bring this up for the group. I'm sorry, I do want to bring this up. This has been trending, and I'm going to tell you guys why I do not like it, but it is your choice. This has been really trending, and they paid for a lot of hype. The reason why I know is a few of my friends that are in cryptocurrency have said that they do social media a lot more than I do. I, in fact, never did Facebook or any of that. I was on the screen more times than I wasn't, but social media was never my thing, doing it a lot more now. But a few of my friends that have a lot of followers have said that Quai Network or QUAI has reached out to them for paid marketing. And that cannot be confirmed or denied. But they have definitely, and that's not illegal to get your cryptocurrency out there to market it. That is not illegal. Okay. But the thing is I'm going to tell you why I'm not a huge fan of QUI. For one, my buddy, he's a dev. He's made meme coins and various things years ago. He doesn't anymore. And he was telling me as a developer, it looked like a nightmare to work with Quiet Network. Just their consensus mechanism is like, it's super abstract. And so it's a very big learning curve. Now, not to take away from Quiet Network, but it is not Caspa. And for one thing, them talking, like having to like tag Caspa and like kind of compare it to Caspa just to get in the spotlight. And it doesn't give me the right vibes, okay? I think Polychain, we can connect dots here. Polychain Capital invested in Caspa indirectly. How so, Satoshi Check? Okay, they were the main investors of DAG Labs. DAG Labs were paid researchers, Jonathan Sampolinsky, okay? You had all the devs from IGRA, IGRA, the smart contract platform on Caspa, BlockDAG. They all were in DAG. Most all of them were in DAG Labs, which was a paid research facility that was to come up with research for advanced cryptography. What did DAG Labs finally complete before they dissolved? They completed Caspa. Polychain Capital backed just the research of Caspa in the multi-millions of dollars, okay? And it was dissolved and then mined by Marathon Digital, who once again has indirect ties to Polychain Capital. Okay, so this is one of the main things. Polychain Capital put $15 million into Quiet Network. I think Quiet Network, to me, and this is why I'm not saying this Quiet Network won't make money. To me, I don't see the long-term viability of Quiet, but it's just my personal, thoughts. It is trending because of so many, influencers and paid influencers and stuff like that. But to me, it's, they call themselves a scalable EVM network of merge mined blockchains. Here's what it says. So it says, with 13 blockchains running in unison, Quiet Network offers high-speed block production. The Prime chain has approximate block time of 15 minutes, region chains. So just going into it, it looks very overly complicated, right? And so Polychain did invest in that. That is one of the things I'm looking for in cryptocurrencies. For those people that wonder, I am looking at who's backing the cryptocurrency. When I see Polychain as a lead, I know that Polychain does not like to lose. They're one of the biggest investors in cryptocurrencies and one of the most successful funders or seed investors of the most successful cryptocurrencies. Polychain Capital is one of the most successful backers of cryptocurrency. So when you go into cryptorank.io, you want to look for who is investing in that cryptocurrency. So Polychain, Dragonfly, Jane, Jumpstreet, are very great. So QUAI, guys, just doesn't do it for me. But I want to go here. This is one that has been consistently, okay, and I want to say consistently, and for when I look and I write all these things down for our group, is Layer Zero has kept its mind share insanely. It kept its mind share. Why? Well, because of its branding. Layer Zero has good branding. But compared to Axelar's tech is arguably better than Layer Zero, arguably better than all of its competitors, but Layer Zero just keeps the mind share. Now, Axelar is one of the altcoins that I have invested in. So we're going to go to Axelar. So first altcoin on my list is I have Caspa. In summary, we said if we have some extra money to set buy orders for spot, what I'm doing, at anywhere between the 0.06 to 0.09 level for a pullback, okay? Now, Axelar. Axelar, and going by Axelar, and I can tell you, looking at this chart, it has, yep, in its market cap. Yep, so it has suffered some inflationary pressures. I can see that from the chart. So basically, Axelar connects the most blockchains in the blockchain space. And in fact, JP Morgan, in their Future of Wealth Management, I please ask you to read, type in JP Morgan Future of Wealth Management. They posted a detailed 50-page document about the future of blockchain and finance, and it's called The Future of Wealth. And they specifically mentioned that Axelar will be used the most. And then secondary to that would be Layer 0 and used for other functions. Now, the main reason I liked Axelar was first of its connections. Canary Capital, okay, recently invested $30 million into Axelar. When that happened, Canary Capital knew something. They invested $30 million. You don't do that for no reason. Well, they realized that Axelar was working with everybody. Axelar, Sui, Meta, right? Big names, great blockchain, great tech. They chose Axelar. They didn't choose Chainlink, okay? They didn't choose Layer 0, okay? Sui chose Axelar. XRP, Ripple chose Axelar. They did not choose Layer 0. So XRP, they've got a reputation. Sui's got a reputation, and things can go wrong. Cetus is not Sui, take in mind, but and at the same time, we have the biggest names in the blockchain space. Cardano, even Cardano's using Axelar. Okay, some of the biggest names. I mean, there's too many names to go over here of how many people are using Axelar for their interoperability, and it's a full stack platform. Now I can see, just looking at the chart and over my analysis, there has been some inflation here on Axelar, and the reason being for that is Axelar, at first before the Cobalt upgrade, Axelar was connecting blockchains, and by doing that, it was adding inflationary pressure at first, and I actually reached out to one of their interns, and he got back to me and told me that the Cobalt upgrade, and I talked to the group and said, hey guys, there should be the Cobalt upgrade coming up, because it was on the roadmap. And I said, this was on the roadmap, for 2024. And what it was basically in order to incentivize their validator set. And this is what's great about Axelar is they have a 75 validator set. It's not like the Guardian model of Layer 0 or the oracles that can be hacked or the multi-sig account. It's for, in my opinion, way more, it's very safe, in my opinion, compared to alternatives. I'll say that. And so Axelar suffered some inflationary pressure at first because in order to connect blockchains, and they connect the most blockchains, they had to incentivize their validators by paying them more in the Axel token. What that caused is inflation in the Axelar economy, right? Because you had, for each new blockchain connected, the validators are being rewarded more to do that work with more Axelar tokens. Now, with the Cobalt upgrade, that has changed the game as far as inflation goes. So now we have the burning mechanism for the gas, and it's all in Axelar. So now we are starting to see that inflationary pressure is finally being addressed, and it was on the roadmap. But what I have target here for Axelar is, as you can see, okay, Axelar, we go up here, right there, 277, okay? Now, Axelar had an incredible run, okay? It did. It absolutely did. And if we look at this, guys, okay? It had an incredible run. That was $1.20, okay? And an incredible run up, an incredible dump, okay? Now, looking at this, and from my previous analysis on Axelar, there's some price targets I'm looking at. And what I am looking at for Axelar is if in a conservative and remember, we don't do price predictions that are guaranteed, anything like this. This is just analysis on Axelar, and anybody that wants to check this, check it. My analysis on Axelar is I am targeting at least the 220 level, okay? An area of confluence here, around 220. And then if we get a breakout of 220, I am going to be targeting some of the higher fib extensions here on Axelar. Now, I am making a series that's going to be on TradingView for the group that I am going to be showing my charting on TradingView. And it's going to be a video series, so I'm working on that. But some targets that I have for Axelar is I'm not like selling and buying spot, but I will tell you something that has came to mind that I did previously mention, okay? But first, I'm going to finish this. So with Axelar, I am targeting that area of confluence around $2.25, $2.15 to $2.25. So 30, 60, 90, 120. So we're looking at over a 5 to 10x. So if you do this math, so if we get an extension, okay. So conservatively, I'm targeting a 6.1x, okay? That's just to be detailed. But just to round it, let's say I'm targeting conservatively a 6x on Axelar. And that is phenomenal, okay? Now, Axelar is close to its range low. Now, Axelar, right, did not start out, right, like down here, okay? But watching Axelar, okay, over the years since it's been introduced, this has acted as super, super strong support down here, okay? So I do not expect necessarily Axelar, and as you see over here, guys, let's look over here, kind of the volume profile, but Axelar, I don't expect to drop, I mean, if we get a drop, I would be setting some spot buy alerts to like 0.28, like, 28 cents, some spot buy limit orders at like 0.28. But like, I believe that's a clean 6x area confluence. And then if we break that support, we break that resistance into support, we're going to be targeting the higher fib levels on Axelar. So I like Axelar. I think for me, it's a conservative, safe, and nothing is, like I said, nothing is safe in crypto. But when I say that word, I'm looking at conservative targets. So I'm saying conservatively, I believe Axelar may be able to conservatively do a 6x and possibly be looking into that 15x region if we get a higher fib extension, if Axelar can flip around that area of confluence above around from 215 to 225. If it can flip that, we're going to be targeting higher fib levels, so possibly even like a 10 to 15x there. But conservatively, I'm looking for a 6x, okay? And Caspa, I am still conservatively looking around the same region, right? And so I've went over 2 cryptocurrencies today, but I'm going to go over one more before we leave and shout out to everybody. Any questions that you guys have for me, I'd love to, go over those more in detail. And I want to go over a couple more things. So these are some cryptocurrencies that I have. So Axelar, just once again, let's look at this. So fundraising. Let's go to fundraising. Look at the main backer, Polychain Capital. So I that they just OTC 30 million raised on March 11th. So people are actively investing in March into Axelar, okay, on an OTC purchase. That's a big deal. They have 150 million raised. What is interesting about this, in the psychology of it, is that's why I'm here for you guys. This group, okay, spots trends, spots psychology. Listen, Wormhole. Okay, Wormhole came out after Axelar. Wormhole was supposed to have the better branding, right? Like boom, like Wormhole, like it sounds like it's got the snap. Wormhole, which I will show you in a minute, the tokenomics are poor. the tech stack is poor. It's, to me, not even a tech stack. It just has the general message passing, the GMP, which Axlar has and has a full stack. And they came out and raised $200 million. And why, Satoshi Check, why would more money be raised into something? Because branding. Branding has a lot to do and is part of our vesting. When we look into vesting a cryptocurrency, one of those is branding. Okay, so Wormhole had the branding better than Axlar. Like, Axlar is good, very good branding. I'd say it's about a 5 out of 10 for the branding, but it's a 11 out of 10 on the tech stack. Okay, it's the real deal. Okay. But Wormhole has that Wormhole, like, like the branding sounded unique. They have not landed the partnerships Axlar has. They have not connected the blockchains Axlar has. They had an exploit. Wormhole was exploited for millions of dollars. Yes. Axlar has never been exploited, right? Like, and so when we go into here, I look, and so they have really big people here, investing a lot of money, right? 35 million. 30 million, 50 million. Look at the money that's recently been invested. And so, like I said, there's been, since Strategic, we had even Crypto.com, Binance Labs invested in Axlar. Series A, let's look at Series A. There you go. So that's what I love. Dragonfly Capital, Polychain, Galaxy, Robot, Coinbase Ventures is on here. There it is, Coinbase Ventures. Every single company that I look at this. The YZI Labs, they are also one of the main backers of SUI. They initially backed Axlar along with Coinbase Ventures. So Coinbase, Binance, all the top backers are behind Axlar. And what I noticed is Wormhole came out, and when Wormhole came out, they had a lot of money invested into Wormhole. And to me, it was because of the branding, which has stayed in the psychology of many people. The branding, the logo is not that great, but just the name Wormhole. Okay, so these are the funds and backers. Okay, so they raised $225 million. But if you notice, it was just Coinbase, Multicoin, but see, you got a big boy here, Jump Street, Jane and Jump Street, right? We got an Arrington Capital. Okay, but this was a problem. Wormhole didn't live up to what Axlar could do. Oof, look at that chart. Okay, it looks very similar to Axlar's chart, and this is what I'm going into. One interesting thing is when we had altcoin rallies, Wormhole, layer 0, well, actually layer 0 is a little bit later, but we'll say, for instance, Wormhole and Axlar ran in tandem. When we actually had an alt rally, which means Bitcoin dominance had fell, and we actually had the snap of the true alt, like it felt like, oh, bam, like it was a snap. Like, so if you've been in this field or if you've been in crypto, you know what like an altcoin rally feels like. And when you get that real snap, you know it is like boom, snap, like your bags just pop. And Wormhole and Axlar were running in tandem with each other, like both up 30%, both the highest returners overall for like the top, say 100, 200 cryptocurrencies by market cap, excluding meme coins. They were the hardest running cryptocurrencies during alt rallies. We have not had an alt rally, a true alt season or alt rally this year at all. So, that's the thing, guys, is right now we have people that are behind the scenes studying, investing, strategizing, right? But at the end of the day, when the alt season occurs, and do I believe it's going to occur? Yes. Wormhole and Axlar ran in tandem. They ran very hard, and that was one of the psychological things that I noticed, that Axlar and Wormhole kind of lost some of the mind share to some of the other cryptocurrencies, but it is a niche. And so when we see a rotation in capital coming from, when we see, say, Bitcoin or alternative assets rotating into altcoins for higher returns, I do believe that Axlar, Wormhole, And some of these other cryptocurrencies that have not had the mind share are going to have that mind share snapped back in a matter of seconds, because all it takes is one God candle for a community to realize, wow, that was a cryptocurrency for the start. And what does our group do? It tries to spot those opportunities early. And so that's the whole point is, am I saying right now is the best time to invest in altcoins? I'm saying it's close to time, okay, but not 100%. I'm going to be posting some limit orders, okay, but the thing is right now there is a chance Bitcoin dominance, a good chance, okay. I say chance because I can't predict the future. Bitcoin dominance will rise, okay. When that happens, alts will reach range lows. Okay, put that down. We'll reach range lows, and from there, boom. Stock market takes a hit. Alts take a disaster hit, possibly, and we have a V-shaped recovery. Okay, and that can be triggered by lots of things. Right now, currently, we have good economic data. Okay, why is that bad if it's good? Well, the USA has good economic data. And so that economic data is going to be used for making financial insights, we'll just call, for the near future. Why that's bad is bad data, okay, that could be caused by tariffs, unknown job data that could come in a lot worse than expected, okay? Good data is here, okay? So that's why for the group, we were looking into longs more than shorts, right? Because we knew that there was good data, okay, currently, okay? There wasn't horrible data to say this is a reason to dump, okay? So our group was looking into long positions. Now, what can happen is in order for the Fed in the USA to step in, right? That's what we want, right? It's basically devaluing the dollar, okay? They're going to come in, possibly due to, let's say, rate cuts I discussed in the group is still a topic of hot contention. Some people believe we're going to have multiple. Some people are now pricing in that we're not getting even the 2 that they stated. Some people are saying we're going to get 5. Some people are saying we're not going to, we're just going to get 1. Nobody knows. That's the point. But if we get that hard economic hit, bam, and we have a drop in the stock market, the overall economy, and the Fed's hand is forced, okay, keep it simple, their hand is forced to inject liquidity, okay? We see this in China, injecting liquidity, see this in the European Union, and all around we have a huge liquidity injection. And this, I believe, will be a great time prior. If this occurs, alts go to the range lows, Bitcoin dominance rises, this may be a great time to invest in your favorite altcoins. Now, I've talked about a few altcoins today, Axelar, Caspa, but those 2 are just 2. I stress not over diversifying, okay? And this is another cryptocurrency that I am bullish on. And a lot of influencers and people in general have, some of them have backed off Aerodrome, but a lot of them, like our group is not influencers. Our group, our Discord, these are people that get on YouTube, give you the data, tell you what's going on in the market, and give you informed decisions to the best of their knowledge, okay? And one of my bets for this cycle, that's a safe, for me, when I say safe, is I'm trying to take calculated risks that I believe can be more conservative. So safe equals conservative for me. Nothing is safe in crypto. Nothing is safe in investments. We have to take risks. Aerodrome can go to 0. Caspa can go to 0, right? We can even say Bitcoin could go to 0 because nothing is guaranteed. But conservatively, I believe Aerodrome is a safe pocket, okay, pocket for an altcoin season. I believe Aerodrome during a real altcoin season will outperform a lot of cryptocurrencies. Nothing is guaranteed, but they've maintained their listing, not full listing, but they've maintained their spot on Grayscale's assets under consideration. It is the largest DEX on Coinbase. They have locked up millions of Aerodrome. They have a very bustling DEX, and the circulating supply. And it's like when we look at here, the market cap compared to the FTV, right? We got a high FTV and low market cap. So this is one that I'm eyeing heavily. Okay, and so just to go back out on here, let's go here to the 1 week. Okay. You know what? I'll go to the daily frame. Okay, so with Aerodrome, and I'm going to go into the market here, but with Aerodrome, I am looking to put, if we have that flush, guys. Now, nothing is guaranteed in crypto, okay? But if we have a possibility that we have a correction, okay? We have one more, two more, it can all depend. If we have a correction, when I've done, and I told you guys I'm doing some videos on various altcoins, Aerodrome is one that I'm eyeing very heavily. Look at this area right here, around the 40 cents, 36 cents. Aerodrome is heavily bought up, okay? So I am looking at Aerodrome, if anything, if we do see a correction, I'm putting already is limit buy orders for 0.345, so 0.34 and then 1/10 of a cent. Also 0.36 and 0.375. Okay, so those are some areas that I have listed here that I have for Aerodrome. So if you just want to round, 0.37, 0.38, 0.36, and even like 0.34, area, but I like mine's 0.345. Those are some areas for spot that I have for limit orders. And I'm looking, if we look at this chart, okay, so for Aerodrome, look at this. Wow, you see this? And so this is what Bitcoin dominance is, guys. And so we all have to learn this in crypto. And so you just kind of see it just bleed out to Bitcoin. And that, and so it takes you a chart like this to just kind of understand, it just slowly just bled out against Bitcoin. But we can see here, okay, we can see right here, an area of 0.35. That's why I said, the 0.36 cent area to 0.38, even 0.4, so like 40 cents. If we do get that correction, we can come down here, bam, into a V-shaped recovery. And so my targets for Aerodrome, right, are going to be eyeing, $2.45 to a higher fib extension, even giving us, possibly close to $5, which would be a clean 5 to 7x from here. And I do believe it's for me, a conservative to at least say Aerodrome will perform fairly well this cycle. In my belief, Aerodrome would be a conservative, 5x from the levels at where we are now. And like I said, we don't do price predictions, but I'm conservatively saying that, I believe Aerodrome will do very well in altcoin season, as well as what I'm doing currently. And I'm going to wrap this up in a moment, but setting some possible limit orders over here in case we do get that correction before possibly the Fed steps in. We're still waiting on some information, right? And we still have uncertainty in the market. So we got to kind of, be prepared if we do, right? Get that dip. And then also say if that never happens. If that dip never happens, you have capital here and it can be deployed into various altcoin sectors that we, see throughout the course of the group that do well. Okay, so going over here, guys, before we leave, so 3 altcoins just for today that I've mentioned that I invested in is Airdrome, Axelar, and Caspa. We've talked about setting limit orders today for those 3 altcoins. I've talked about various price targets that I have, but also to end this, I am going to be, like I said, I have a video section and a whole video catalog that I'm making. And it's going to be talking about various altcoins in various sectors. And one that's coming up is RWAs. Did you guys think I forgot about RWAs? No, I did not. RWAs are on my hot list for niche-based takeoffs, okay? And so I am going to get into that tomorrow, but we have C-Pool on that list as well as a few other RWA cryptocurrencies that I'm eyeing for this cycle. And also I want to talk to you guys about, should we be taking profits on some of these rallies? And the answer is I am going to be posting in Discord what I am doing from the standpoint of taking profits on a few different cryptocurrencies and some trades that we are making, okay? And so I wanted to bring this up just before we go. So tomorrow we're going to get into RWAs. And remember, I stress not over diversifying. And currently, we are kind of like the man in the the Jello or the life like frozen in Jello, frozen in time, waiting to be woke up. That's what I feel like the market is right now. Nobody knows the exact direction. Everybody's kind of like, hey, like we've got some bullish sentiment. The data right now is good. But like the Fed, right, there was just news that came out that, they turned down Donald Trump's plan to, not necessarily that he planned to, but, his disagreements with Jerome Powell. That was something that was brought into question. And they said, the Fed is private and that Donald Trump would not be allowed to just fire anybody. But there was 2 women that he fired, and they brought up the fact that if Donald Trump could fire them, that he could fire Jerome Powell. And the Supreme Court denied the 2 women and said that they could be fired, but the Fed was independent. So aiming that Donald Trump cannot just fire Jerome Powell. So we've got to see what has to happen for us to get the next leg up, okay? Not just Bitcoin, but altcoins that are beaten down to the ground. And these are the cryptocurrencies that you're looking to try to change your life. Okay, so before we leave, guys, this is something that I wanted to show you guys. Growth in total employment in Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, NVIDIA, Meta, and Tesla. Okay, this is what is incredible, guys. We need to be looking at stuff like this. Guys, look at this, okay? We have employment in the MAG, okay, the MAG 7. And look at where it is at. Fed start raising their interest rates in 2022, guys. Okay, so let's look there. At 2022, the Fed starts raising interest rates. At that time, we then saw 3% employment in 2022. We then went negative on the MAG 7 to negative 1%. Then in 2024, 2%. Guys, this is astounding. This is bad data, okay? This is very, very bad, okay? And it does speak to the economy, and it can speak towards we are in limbo with good data that is not saying dump, 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 but data that is not saying pump, 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 okay? So we still have incoming data like this that shows the total employment growth, it even went negative in the last few years. So this group is always amazing. Please join us if you haven't. And, we're going to be going into RWA's growth tomorrow and some projections for the Fed and some various things in the United States economy that I am looking at for potential factors and making decisions in this market. So thank you guys for the time today, and everybody have a great one. And I am out for today. I will see you guys soon, okay? Have a great one. All right. Peace out, guys.